Straighten your crown, sales queen, because we are going in on this episode. I'm going to be talking about who I really believe make the best salespeople. Is it men? Is it women? Is it introverts? Is it extroverts? This is going to be a really great episode for you if you have ever said to me or anyone else, I'm just no good at sales. Sales is just not something that I know how to do. Sales is not my skill. If you've ever said that, then you need to listen to this episode because I think I'm going to share some stuff that's going to shock you. I think I'm going to share some stuff that's going to make you feel comfortable and confident. And what I really hope, what my biggest intention is for this episode, that I motivate you, I excite you, I give you more enthusiasm for sales than you've ever had before. Because I promise you, sales is a learned skill. Nobody comes out of the womb a good salesperson. Nobody is born a salesperson. It is not if there's a nature-nurture debate going on, this is definitely not nature. You are not born a great salesperson. You learn to be a salesperson. Now, this fact alone should give you so much confidence that if one person can learn it, then so can everybody else. Unless, of course, you're telling yourself that there's things about your character, there's things about your personality, there's things about you that mean that you won't be good at it. And I can tell you that that is absolute rubbish, okay? It is a learned skill. Everybody can learn it. There are some things, some characteristics that you may possess that you want to dial up and dial down in certain situations. Absolutely. We're going to get into that. There may be some things that you find easier to learn than other things. But fundamentally, you can learn to be an amazing salesperson. And when you know how to sell, this isn't just what you need to know how to do to sign new clients. This isn't just how to get rich, how to make money overnight. Selling is not just about that, because selling is a psychology. Yes, selling is about empathizing with the person that you're speaking to, being able to really listen, ask questions, be curious, help somebody to solve a problem, okay? So I want you to put it out of your mind that being a good salesperson means that you're money mad. That isn't what it means. That being a great salesperson means that you just want to sign more clients than everybody else. That isn't what it means. Being a great salesperson means that you're a great helper. You're a great problem solver. Because when you sell something to somebody, your intention should always be to leave them in a better place than you found them. To help them solve a problem. To help them overcome a situation that's driving them nuts. Okay? And your offer, the offer that you have created, whether that's a done-for-you package, an agency retainer, a coaching program, an online course, whatever it is that you sell, I want you to think about that thing now and get really clear on why you created it. Because I'm pretty certain that, yes, you probably created it to make money. Of course you did. We're in business. But you created it to solve a problem. You created it to help somebody. You created it to give somebody the solution, the transformation, the outcome that they are looking for. The thing that you know how to do that they don't. Okay? So being a good salesperson is not about being hungry for money, wanting to get rich. It's not about that. Being good at sales doesn't make you greedy, doesn't make you a bad person. Okay? So I want you to make peace with all of that. And then I'm going to dive into a few things. I've got some notes here on my phone just to make sure I don't go off on a crazy tangent, because this is something I could literally talk about for days, okay? And we don't want to be here for days. I know that you're probably walking the dog or driving somewhere, so, let's get stuck in. So one of the biggest sales debates ever is who is naturally better at sales, men or women. And you may see it talked about online on social media that, men are typically good at sales. That sales is a masculine thing. It's a bro thing because sales is all about pitching and being pushy and persuading and not taking no for an answer. That is absolute bullshit, right? Men are definitely not better at sales than women. Yes, men are driven, by the testosterone hormone, yeah? When they are pitching, they are there to pitch. They're there to win. That is a masculine trait. And girls, if we're really honest, sometimes we might need to dial up that trait. Yeah, we might need to dial up the I want to win, I want to get the best outcome. We don't want to always be passive and, just sort of sit there in the corner being quiet because we've been taught to just not speak up and be a good girl. Sometimes we might need to dial up that attitude of I want to win and I won't take no for an answer. But having that and thinking that doesn't mean that you're good at sales, right? Men are definitely not better at sales than women. Yeah, being, filled with testosterone and an attitude of I want to win does not make you good at sales. The innate skills that women have are what make you good at sales. Okay, let me say that again. As a woman, and obviously if you're listening to this as a man, welcome, sales queen. If you're listening to this as a man, then, I'm not saying anything bad about men, right? You can go out and be a great salesperson, but you would need to dial up your feminine traits, okay? Because I fundamentally believe after 19, where did that number come from? 27 years in sales. I used to lead a UK-based sales team, 57 sales staff in my team, 13,500 customers that we had to sell to. My annual budget was 100 million. So when I say I've been in sales a long time, I've got a lot of experience, they're the receipts, okay? 27 years experience, 100 million UK pounds in 1 year, okay? And I worked for that business for 17 years. So you can imagine how much money I made them. A lot of money, okay? Now, I can tell you for absolute certain, after all that experience and all the different salespeople that I have worked with, women have the traits naturally to make you a good salesperson, right? Why is that? Because women are naturally more nurturing. Women ask questions and listen to the answer. Whereas the male tendency, when they enter into a sales conversation and they're there to pitch and push and persuade, that may win over some sales conversations, but in the main, most sales conversations, you need to base it on a consultation. You need to base it on building rapport, on asking questions, on being curious, on probing deeper, and on then listening. Yeah, really listening and making sure that your offer is the solution to the problem. And only when you're comfortable that your offer is the solution to the problem should you then invite the sale. Okay, so women have that tendency naturally. We are naturally more nurturing. Okay, so boys, don't take offense at that. I'm not being mean. It's just a fact. Okay, so next big debate, right? So I've handled the men and women. Women are naturally better. The next big one is it extrovert or introvert that are naturally better at sales? And I have heard it said 100 times or more, extroverts are better at sales. Extroverts have got the gift of the gab. Extroverts are the ones that are the front and center of the room. Extroverts bring the energy. Extroverts can do a great pitch, make a great presentation, invite the sale without being scared. And yes, all those things are true. Extroverts are naturally driven by their energy and being surrounded by people. They are naturally in their element when they're surrounded by other people, okay? But that doesn't make you good at sales. That doesn't make you good at sales. Going back to what I said in the man versus woman debate, being good at sales is having the willingness and the patience to ask questions. And an introvert is much more aligned to that behavior. An introvert doesn't like the sound of their own voice. An extrovert does, right? And I can say that because I am an extrovert. I am like top of the chart, right? When you like do your introvert extrovert questionnaire, I can't remember the name of the survey now, but probably when you were in corporate or you had a job, someone did a test with you, a survey, and it tells you whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Mine, I was like top of the extrovert axis. I couldn't be any more extrovert if I tried. I actually think that that's dialing down as I get older. I'm becoming a little bit more reserved and a little bit more peaceful and wanting my own space and not necessarily always wanting to be in a room of people. Maybe I should do the survey again. But in the debate of are introverts or extroverts better at sales, for me, the introverts win hands down, because an introvert doesn't need to fill the space, doesn't need to fill silence with their own voice. An extrovert likes to do that. An introvert will be introverted, will reflect and think. And when they ask a question, they tend to ask a really bloody good one. Extroverts might ask 10 questions to the introverts one, but that one question will be a really banging question that opens up the customer in a way that the extrovert can't. Because the extrovert is so excited, their energy is so buzzing because they're in a conversation with another human that they bounce around the conversation at surface level. They might ask question after question after question, but what the introvert does is probes deeper. It goes deeper. They will hear the answer and go, that's really interesting that you say that. Can we unpack that a little bit? I'd love to understand what makes you say that. Like, I'd love to understand that a bit more. Tell me more. Keep talking, like the introvert will be able to open up the customer into a much deeper conversation. Okay. So if you have ever sat there saying, well, I'm a woman, which means I'm not good at sales, and I'm an introvert, which means I'm even worse at sales. If I was an extroverted man, it'd be all right. I'd be making thousands of pounds every day right now. You got it all wrong, honey, right? You got it all wrong. Being a female and being an introvert actually gives you a huge advantage. Okay, so now we've laid that out there, let me go through these 9 things for you. These are the characteristics. These are the things that if you want to learn sales, if you want to get really good at sales, these are the 9 things that I would recommend that you work on. Okay. Now, if you want to work on these things with my support, if you would love me to, critique your sales calls for you, read the DMs that you're sending and tell you why they're not converting, help you build your sales pitches, help you build your presentations, help you plan your live launches, help you map out your customer journey, help you build your sales funnels. These are all the things that I help my clients to do right now. And I have programs that help the ladies who are at like 1 to 2K a month and want to get to like 7 to 10K a month. I have a group program where I help you do that. I've also got another group program where you're already at the 7 to 10K a month mark and you want to absolutely skyrocket and grow from there so that you can hit 20 and 30K months. I have a mastermind for that. And for the ladies that want to come with me all the way to $1 million, I have my Millionaire Mastermind where we work on absolutely scaling your business, hiring team, bringing in systems, operational support, really helping you to grow your legacy, grow your business, really build a proper business, not just an internet business, a proper business, okay? So I help women at all levels, at every level, to master sales, to sell their offers, to scale their offers, and to make a shitload of money, right? So if you're hearing these 9 things and you're like, Rach, I need to talk to you. I need to know what you would recommend for me. I need to know where I'm going wrong. I need your input and insight and support on how to make more sales and, sign more clients, make more money. Please just drop me a DM over on Instagram, okay? Just drop me a DM and we can have a chat, figure out what's going wrong and help you to put in the right systems, processes, strategies. That is what I'm here for, okay? So these 9 things, what are they? So care about the person you're selling to is number 1. So that's empathy, right? Empathy. Do you care about the person? If you're just in it for the money, then you're not going to sell as much as the person who genuinely cares. Because genuine care and attention comes through in your energy, okay? Your customer can feel it. Your customer's not stupid. Maybe 20 years ago, the bro style of selling, the pitching, the pushing, the persuading, it was more of a thing. It was more of a thing. Like in the early 2000s, when I started in sales, that bro style was more of a thing. You didn't have to care that much about your customer. But today, in 2025, if you don't care about your customer getting the right solution and getting an ROI, they will know it, they will feel it, and you won't make the sale. So a natural characteristic of a great salesperson is that you genuinely care about your customer. You can empathize with their frustration, and you genuinely care about leading them to the right solution. Not any solution, not, don't care what you buy as long as you buy something, not that. It's got to be genuine care, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing, which is going to make you a great salesperson, is that you can build fast rapport. Now, what rapport is that resonance, that kind of two-way energy of, I get you. Yeah, I get you and I know you get me. We've got things in common. Yeah. So when I'm talking about rapport, I always tell this same story of one of our customers when I was in corporate was renowned for being really, really difficult, like really difficult. A few of our account managers had come back from meetings with him, like crying their eyes out and saying, oh, he was mean, he was horrible. And so I was the manager and I was like, oh, I'm going to have to look after this customer because I don't want any more of my team getting upset and frustrated. So I will go and visit this customer and I will see what he's really like. When I walked into his office, I was with my account manager, the girl in my team who he'd upset. And I walked into his office and immediately on the wall, I saw a picture of a golden retriever dog. And it wasn't with any humans. So I didn't know if it was his golden retriever dog. It was just a picture of a golden retriever dog. And at the time, at home, we had a golden retriever dog. Okay, so this is resonance, right? This is what have we got in common? Now, I could have walked in there and just got straight into conversation and tried to fix it all, and it probably wouldn't have worked. But what I did is I commented on the dog before anything else. He was called Steve, this guy. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was actually many years ago. And I remember saying, like, hey, Steve, is that your dog? And he said, yeah, that's our dog. And I was like, oh, I've got a golden retriever too. Like, what's the dog's name? Told me the name. I shared the name of our dog, started talking about, things that we do with our dog's habits, the things, the little dogisms, the things that make them cute and lovely and, the family pet. And he became very animated. He loved his dog. You could tell instantly he loved his dog. And he started telling me all these stories. He was laughing. He was joking with me. We hadn't talked about business at all. And I could see my account manager looking at me as if to say, how the hell have you got this guy laughing? I don't even recognize him. He's not even the same person that I've been out here trying to crack a conversation with. And here you are absolutely laughing and joking with him. Like, I don't get it. So we broke it down when we came out of the meeting and, I said to her, what is it that you saw me do? And she said, I don't know. She said, I don't even know why you managed to get into that conversation. So it was because of the dog. It was because of the dog, okay? So when I'm talking about rapport, I want you to think about how quickly can you find something in common with your customer, whether this be on a sales call or in a DM conversation, at a networking event, in a room, maybe you're at a coffee event or some kind of like conference or event. Find connection, find resonance, find something that you have in common. Okay? Anything. It doesn't really even matter what it is. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with business. Okay? It's just a human to human thing. So being good at building rapport will make you instantly a better salesperson. Like my husband is always saying, like we just came back from a holiday in the Dominican Republic. And I got friendly with the bar staff, other people like around the pool. I would walk down to the pool each day, like Oliver and James are with me, and I'd be like, hi. And people were saying hello to me, and they'd be like, Mum, how do you know them? Like, we've only just got here. How does the barman know your name? Like, how does the waitress who's bringing the drinks around, how does she even know what your drink is? Like, and it's because of rapport. I'm really good at building rapport, at asking people questions, finding connection, finding something in common with them. When you master that, I tell you, you're 90% of the way there. Next thing on my list of 9 things is problem solving, not pitching. I kind of already talked about this. You're not there to just pitch your offer. Here's why you need to buy my thing today. That is not what you're doing. You're looking to problem solve. Now, you can't solve a problem that you don't understand. So the next thing on the list is be curious, okay? Because if you're going to understand the problem, you've got to ask some questions about it. Tell me how long you've been feeling this way. How does this problem show up for you? What does it look like, feel like? Yeah, does it wake you up in the middle of the night? Does it make you worry? Do you ever talk to your friends about it, your partner about it? What do they think? Yeah, be curious, be probing, be really inquisitive so that you can fully understand. Now, one of the questions that you must always ask is, what would it mean to you to get this fixed? Yeah, how would that look? Imagine how that would look. Tell me how it would feel. Okay, so you want to be able to create the gap. You want to ask enough questions to create the gap from where they are today and where they want to be in a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months, however long it is. Okay, you want to fully understand the problem. Okay, so one of the characteristics is problem solving, not pitching. The other one is be curious, be really good at asking questions. The next one is don't be afraid to probe deeper. Okay, so if you ask a question and your customer gives you an answer. So let's say you're a social media manager and you ask, how long has social media been feeling like a challenge for you? Like how many hours a week does it take you? How long does it take you to create your content, come up with the ideas? And let's say the customer's like, well, I usually set aside half a day a week and I cram it into that, and whatever's not created just doesn't get done, and I just then move on to something else. So they start talking about how they feel, that's a problem. They don't feel that they're posting enough. They don't really put their heart and soul into it because all they're doing is trying to get it done quickly. It's not the best content. It's not converting the way they want it to. So they start talking about the problem. But as a social media manager, you want to probe deeper. You want to fully understand, well, what systems are you using? How many pieces of content do you think you could create in an hour, in 2 hours, in 3 hours? When you create videos, where do you edit them? You might want to probe deeper. And some people are really afraid of doing that because they think, oh, I don't want them to think I'm nosy. I don't want them to think that I'm interrogating them. But it's not an interrogation, because how can you help somebody if you don't fully understand where they are right now and what they want instead? Okay, so don't be afraid to probe deeper is my, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, number 5. Number 6 on my list of 9 things is knowing how to get small commitments. Okay, so in your sales conversation, let's say it's a sales call, right? A 30-minute sales call. What you don't want to do is have a really great conversation for 25 minutes. And then in the last 5 minutes, suddenly pitch your ass off and start talking about your offer when you haven't fully really understood. You haven't even tried to get small commitments along the way. You are much more likely to get the big commitment, the big yes at the end, as if you've got small commitments partway through the conversation. So let me give you some examples. Let's say part of the way through the sales call, my potential new customer is saying, oh, Rachel, it's an absolute bloody nightmare. I'm posting every day on social media. I'm on 3 platforms. There's a lot of effort going into my content. And I get the odd inquiry, I get the odd DM come through, but sometimes it's not even from the right people. And so they're telling me all about their situation. What I mean by getting a small commitment would be me saying, okay, let me tell you what I think I'm understanding then. You are frustrated with the amount of effort that you're putting in versus the reward that you're getting out. And we're on the call today for you to get a solution. Am I right? Yes, you're right, Rachel. Yeah, that is what I mean by a small commitment. I'm not saying, so you want to hire me. Yeah, that's the big commitment. I'm not doing that. I'm getting a small commitment. So what you really want to do is get a solution that helps you spend less time on content and have more success with conversion. Is that what you really want? And they would say yes. And then I would ask another really important question is, how quickly would you like to see that happen? Now, if the answer to that is, well, as long as it was in the next 3 years, that would be fine, you're never going to sell that person. You're never going to sell them. Even if they said, if it was by the end of the year, you're never going to sell them unless it's the middle of December. What you want is the answer to be, I need this ASAP, Rach, I need this instantly. How quickly can you make it happen? How quickly can you help me to learn this stuff? Yeah. So you want to be getting these small commitments and getting a commitment around a time frame, getting a commitment around what would be the ideal outcome for you. These are all little small commitments that you should be getting in your sales conversation so that you're more likely to then get the big yes at the end. Okay. Next one on my list is get commitment on their wants, timing, and budget. Okay, so this is kind of like taking it to the next level. And that is, I just gave you an example of getting commitment on the wants, and I told you the timing question. When they said, if I said, how quickly do you want to see this happen? And they said, I'd like this to be in place by the end of the month. I need to see more conversion, more inquiries coming in by the end of the month, or within 30 days of us working together. If they said that, I would play that back to them and get a small commitment. I'd say, okay, so this is feeling urgent for you. If we were to work together, obviously I'll tell you all about what that looks like in a minute, but if we were to work together, you would want to see a notable impact in 30 days. Am I right? They would say, yes, you're right. And then I might say something like, how much time and effort are you prepared to really put to that? Because I can't do this without you. Yeah, I can give you the calls, the trainings. I can give you, we could role play together. I can give you all the things that you need to do to get great at sales, but you also need to put in that commitment. So where's your commitment level 1 to 10? And I want them to be an 8 or more. If they're not an 8 or more out of 10 for their commitment, again, you're not going to sell them. They're not going to convert because they're there for a nice to have. They're not fully committed. They're not all in. Okay. The other question is like budget. Once you get to the budget question, what I don't recommend is you say, do you have a budget for this? Because you're not selling to corporates. Okay. If you were selling to corporates, I would teach you a different way. But right now, if you're selling to solopreneurs, you're selling to other women in the online space, what I would recommend is that when you've talked about the problem and you've agreed what the solution needs to be, and you've said, from what you've told me, I am absolutely certain that we can get a great result for you together. Yeah, if we work together, I know I can help you. I've helped people who are feeling the way that you felt to get this outcome within 90 days, 60 days, 120 days, however long it is. I'm convinced, I am certain that I can help you. Yeah, you don't want to say what's your budget for that, because that's just corporate and not the right vibe. What you want to say is, I hope you appreciate, my services don't come free, right? There is an investment for you to make. What I really need to know is, what's this worth to you? If you could get 5 inquiries coming in, 10 inquiries coming in a week, what is that worth to you? Now, the way that I would rationalize that is I would say, for example, what's the average price of a product that you sell? Because let's work out what the return on investment could actually look like. I need to know, before I invite you into my program, I need to know that you're going to be able to make enough money to cover the investment. Otherwise, I would recommend that you don't join. I'd recommend that you go and join a different program, or do my self-study program. So I would say, how much is your offer? Let's work out, right, how many inquiries do we need to generate in order for you to get a great result, a return on investment. So I haven't told them the price of the program. I haven't even pitched the program. I'm just getting an understanding for, is it worth it for them? Yeah. And for me, as the seller, as the person that is going to support this potential client for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, I need to know in my heart of hearts that I can genuinely help them. Because if I don't feel that I can, I wouldn't invite them to work with me, okay? So you need to be able to get little tiny commitments, which means asking questions, listening to the answer, and then playing it back to them around what they want, how quickly they want it, and what it's worth to them. It's got to have a high value to them. It's got to be important. Otherwise, they're not going to buy it, okay? And then, this won't come as any surprise to you. Number 9 on the list of characteristics, on the list of things that you are going to have to be really good at if you want to be a great salesperson, is you can't be afraid to ask for the sale girls. You cannot be a sales queen if you are sat there shaking in your shoes thinking, oh my God, what if they say no? Oh my God, this is awkward. This is weird. Is now the time I should ask for the sale? Just ask, but it doesn't have to be, would you like to go ahead? It doesn't have to be awkward and weird. You could literally, one of the things that I would say is, I've loved spending time with you on this call and hearing all about, where you've been. And I'm sorry that, business has felt hard and you haven't seen the leads come through that you wanted. But I can see that you're really passionate about what you do. I think you've got a great offer. It's priced right. There's lots of big ticks in the box for the way that you've built your business up until this point. All you need is my strategies, my proven frameworks, me supporting you, and things are going to be great, right? So do I feel like the sort of mentor that could get the best out of you? Yeah, and they always say yes, because, of course they're going to say yes. Do I feel like the sort of mentor that's going to get the best out of you? And they will go, well, yeah. And then I would say something like, well, great, because I really am excited about supporting you. And the program I'd recommend that you join is this one. And I would tell them all about it. And then I'd be like, so are you in? Are we going to do this? Are we going to work together on hitting that 10K a month goal? Because I'm excited to get started. Are you? And I wouldn't be like all awkward about it and weird and be like, shall I draw up the contract? That's going to make it feel weird. Just be a human. Just be a human that's genuinely excited to help another human, because you are the expert. You have the proven framework. Yeah, you know that you can help them. So of course, why wouldn't you be excited to help them? So it doesn't have to be all weird and strange and, contractual. It just needs to be you saying, oh my God, I'm so excited to support you. When should we start? Yeah, so there's lots of little one-liners I can teach you that make you feel super, super comfortable. But I really hope that me running through this has helped you, especially, just going back to the beginning, if you are somebody that has ever said, I'm just no good at sales. It's just not a me thing. I'm not an extrovert. I haven't got the gift of the gab. I'm not good at sales. I'm an introvert. If you've ever said those things, then I really hope that this episode of the show has helped you to see that you have natural skills that you can adapt and use in a sales conversation to help you to attract and sign new clients. Okay, you can do this. You are a sales queen. I'm here on the show helping you to be a better sales queen, but you're already a sales queen. You already have what you need. Okay, you already have what you need because you're a human. Yeah, you're a human. You're a human who loves to be in the company of other humans and you want to help other humans. So that already means you're a great salesperson, okay? All we're doing here is sharpening up your skills, adding things to your toolkit, and giving you the best strategies in 2025 for you to make more money and create that life of abundance and freedom, which is why you started your business in the first place. So are you going to get out there? Are you going to fix that sales crown and remind yourself that you are a queen? Yeah, straighten the crown, get out there, make some sales, and please, when you get good news, will you come and share it with me on my Instagram? I would love to get DMs from you, little voice notes from you going, oh my God, I listened to your podcast and guess what? I tried that question and it really helped. I would absolutely love that. So check below in the show notes. I will put my Instagram handle there. I would absolutely love to hear from you. And yeah, that's it for today's episode. I will see you next week on Becoming an Online Sales Queen. Don't forget to tell all your friends, all your family, if they're in sales, if they are a woman growing and scaling a business, tell them about the show. Tell them how we have great conversations here. Share the link with them. I would love to be able to attract more listeners. I'll see you next week.